Welcome back to Simply Fujica, a place for budding and aspiring entrepreneurs. If this is the first time you stop by this channel, I definitely want to welcome you. We discuss topics, all things home care, and today is no exception. We are discussing part 2, 8 tips on promoting wellness amongst your caregivers. So, if you're interested in that video, and I hope you are, then stay tuned. The 5th tip that I have for you is implement respite care programs for your caregivers. In essence, this is making sure that your caregivers are taking small breaks while your clients are receiving their care. So this is built into their schedule. This is something that the client is aware of and the client understands is important for that person to be able to take a small break. The key factor here is to ensure that the client's care is not being compromised, but as the person is getting care. So a perfect example of this is maybe your client is now eating lunch and they can self-sufficiently feed themselves. Well, if that client is already at lunch, maybe it would make sense for that caregiver to also not be away from the client, but also be taking a small break. Again, making sure that there's a time for this person to mentally collect themselves, take a small break, and again, that client's care is not being compromised. The 6th tip that I have for you is utilize technology and tools. The biggest example that I have for you here is utilizing some type of care coordination software. Again, I will have some examples below, but the biggest illustration here is instead of a person documenting, writing everything out, and all of those types of things, trying to recall certain things, it's much easier for a person to be able to plug that information into a software. It may not seem like a big difference, but it is. It is over the long run. Once that person, going back to adequate training and resources, once that person is adequately trained on the system, it is much easier for them to adapt to that. Another example of this sometimes is telehealth and recording management systems so that a person can see the caregiver at all times while providing that care. So let's use that lunch example. So if that person has a monitoring system, that client can be in a different room while the caregiver is preparing their lunch. Again, something can be happening in that room. That caregiver is preparing that lunch in another room, but that quality of care is still being upheld because that caregiver can see that client at all times. Not all of us are able to invest in it, but if this is something that you can do to separate yourself from other care agencies, then this will be a win-win for you and the client. The 7th tip that I have for you is to provide financial resources and benefits. Now, this one is really going to depend on the stability of your agency. And so you want to make sure that you are paying a competitive wage. When a person is paid adequately, they feel comfortable in giving 100% into the position that they have instead of just working your job until they can find one that's better, right? So that removes that whole case so that they can focus on working in your position. The other thing is benefits. A lot of times what attracts people, even if the pay isn't as competitive as it could be, is benefits. Do you offer paid time off? Is there a health benefits package? Are there rewards and bonuses? We talked about that earlier. Those benefits will go into that person's consideration when they decide if they're going to take on your job or not. The 8th and final tip that I have for you is encourage physical support. If you have the ability, you definitely want to offer health and wellness programs. If you are not there to where you can offer those things, that doesn't mean you still can't have, not only encourage physical fitness, which is linked to mental well-being, but you can also have a contest. Let's say who can walk the most steps in a day. I know in previous work environments we've had weight loss competitions where we all put in a certain amount of money and then the person who loses the most weight walks away with the whole pot. There's just different things that you can do. Plus, statistics show that people tend to do better with weight loss and physical activity when they have an accountability partner and they're doing it in a group setting. So don't be afraid to offer those types of things in lieu of having those benefits if that's something your agency is not in the position to offer. The second component that goes into encouraging physical health is making sure that you're offering a safe environment. So this kind of ties back into training, making sure people know how to adequately support and lift clients so they're not hurting themselves, making sure that they're attending some type of training to understand body ergonomics, body movement, to ensure that they're happy, that they're healthy. Before we go, I do want to remind you that I do have my first and only licensing course this year that is starting in June. So the enrollment link is in the description. When you talk about being ready for license, this is absolutely the product that I know most people look for when they reach out to me for consulting. What's unique about this course is 4 weeks of classwork that actually does focus on the operations of your agency, while simultaneously we are working on your licensing requirements behind the scenes. So I'm really excited. A lot of my clients really benefit from having the hands-on instruction that I provide and the hands-on assistance for the licensing requirements. So you don't want to miss out. I will have the information in the video description. And then last but not least, if you do need other assistance, if you need any type of assistance or want to reach out to me, please feel free to do so at simplyfujica@yahoo.com. And then you can also check out my other services and see what else is going on with me on my website, which is simplyfujica.com. Okay guys, that's all I have for you all today. Stay blessed.